Hello students, this is your Bio Sir, Deepak Gaikwad, and welcome to your 9th standard. I'm sure you all are safe and fine at your homes. Don't feel that you are stuck at homes, feel that you are safe at homes. And as time should not be wasted, our show must continue, study should not be hampered. We have here for few days is online classes. Well, the first chapter from your 9th standard biology is your cell, but not only cell I want to tell about. If you see other chapters too, these all chapters, they are similar to your 11th standard. Same chapters will be repeated in your 11th standard. So your 9th standard is very important from the point of view of your NEET, that medical entrance examination. So those who are interested in medicals, those who are interested in biology, for them this is very important foundation to learn all the chapters in biology thoroughly from 9th standard CBSE textbook. Already soft copy of the same chapter is shared to you people by Sachin sir. Refer that, use NCERT textbook. You can also download certain apps like My CBSE Guide app that will also help you to understand the concept better. So let's begin now with the chapter Cell, the unit of life. Already you have studied some basics of this chapter in your lower class. Now here we will be learning little more detail about the same. And as I said, it is very important for your competitive exams too, like NEET, or this year you will be giving your homeopa examination, NSO examination. So for all such examinations, your basics, concepts must be thorough. So pay attention, listen to the audio or this video again and again, try to understand the concept. Feel free to ask any problem, any doubt. You can message, you can call. We are there to help you people. Now, the moment I say cell, immediately the definition of this cell strikes your mind. Right? So what's the definition of a cell then? So cell is nothing but the structural and functional unit of an organism or life. Right? And study of this cell, structure of this cell, we call it as cytology. Even it can be called as cell biology. So more appropriate word is this cell biology, because cell biology is the study of structure, function and reproduction of cell. Cytology, when we say, it is just study of structure of cell. And when we say cytology or this cell biology, we can't forget the great scientist who laid the foundation of this cytology or a cell biology. And he is none other than this person, Robert Hooke. So Robert Hooke is known as a father of cytology or a cell biology. Now why we call him as a founder member of this cytology? The reason is he was the first biologist who observed the first cell under microscope in the year 1665. So he was the first biologist to observe the cell. The cell that he observed was actually a dead cell. Now why dead cell? Because he observed this cell from a dead part of a plant. Cork of a stem. Cork is that covering around the stem in a dead part of the plant. So he observed cell for the first time using cork. When he observed that cell, it looked like a simple hollow honeycomb-like structure. Ultimately, the reason for that was microscopes were not well advanced like today we have light microscope or electron microscope, compound microscopes, etc. So the cell which was observed was, it looked like hollow compartment or honeycomb-like structure. So he called it as cellula in a Latin language. So this was the way how first cell looked. Honeycomb-like cell. And he called this as cellula. So many people believe that cell is nothing but a hollow compartment that looks like a honeycomb. But later on, in the year 1678, there was another scientist who invented the microscope which we use today, that is light microscope. And this scientist was Antony von Leeuwenhoek. So the scientist was A.V. Leeuwenhoek, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who discovered light microscope that we use today. And he was the first person to observe the living cell under microscope. So he was the first scientist to observe RBC under microscope. He was the first person to observe bacteria under microscope, sperm cell under microscope. So this was the second person. Now, is it like that the cells of all living organisms are alike? The answer is no. Cells may vary in their size, shape, structure. Like when you talk about longest cell in animal body or a human body, when we say, so it is our neuron, the nerve cell, brain cell. It measures the length of about 1 meter or more than 1 meter long. Starts from the head and ends in the toe. When you talk about living cell, largest living cell outside the body, then yes, exactly, you have heard the name. An ostrich egg, 170 millimeter in length, approximately 17 centimeter long. When we say smaller cell or a smallest cell, then some name should strike your brain like mycoplasma. There is one name. You will come across this name in 11th standard in more detail. PPLO, another name for the same. Pleuropneumonia-like organism. It is a full form. So mycoplasma is smaller than bacteria. Smallest cell. In human body, when you talk smallest cell, then it is RBC, which is 7 micrometer in length. So cells are not similar in size or a shape. Shape also varies or shape also changes. We all know that. If you have NCERT textbook, you can turn over the pages and see there are few diagrams given, which I told just now. Diagram of your neuron, diagram of your RBC, diagram of ostrich egg. They are there, given there in NCERT textbook. You can have a glance. Now, let's continue with other people who have contributed to this cytology or this cell biology. So there were two great scientists, which are this Matthias Schleiden and this Theodor Schwann. Remember these two names, very important names. Matthias Schleiden and Theodor Schwann, from two different countries, who contributed a lot in this cytology. So this Matthias Schleiden was actually a German botanist. So he studied plant cells exclusively. Whereas this Theodor Schwann was a British zoologist who particularly studied animal cell. Both were from different countries, were studying independently about cell. One was studying plant cell, other one was studying animal cell in different years too. That is, this Schleiden was studying plant cell in the year 1838 and Schwann was studying this animal cell in 1839. But when they studied independently, they came to some common conclusion, and then these two people togetherly proposed one theory, and it was called as a cell theory. These two people proposed cell theory. Very important names you should remember about. For competitive exams, it might be asked which country they belong to. So cell theory was proposed by these two people, and they gave some postulates of the cell theory, some conclusions of the cell theory. Like what? The first conclusion of the cell theory was nothing but what we studied in the definition of the cell. Cell is nothing but the structural and functional unit of an organism. Every living organism is made up of cell. That was the second conclusion or hypothesis of the same. That every living organism is made up of cell. Then the third hypothesis or the conclusion which was given by them was that the cells, they are capable of division, and this division only we can refer as a reproduction. So cells can multiply, cells can reproduce, cells can divide. That was the postulate given by these two people. The fourth postulate that was given by these two people was cells carry genetic information. Cells carry genetic information. Okay, so this was supported by one more person, and that person was again Robert Brown. So came one more person into light, and that was also in 1838-39, Robert Brown, and he discovered nucleus. Remember that. The nucleus of a cell was discovered by Robert Brown. So year approximately was 1831. So then this nucleus contains genetic information, and that is why cells can carry genetic information, we can say. Now, as this theory was widely accepted by people, then came another scientist into light, and that was Rudolf Virchow, who added something to this theory. Now, what he added to the theory was, he said new cells arise from pre-existing cells. There was a question, how new cells come, or from where new cells come. So the answer was new cells exist or arise from pre-existing cells. And he told that in the Latin language, omnis cellulae cellula. Remember this sentence, omnis cellulae cellula, not mentioned there in your NCERT textbook, but it's important for your competitive exams like NSO, Homi Baba. Omnis cellula e cellula, which means new cells arise from pre-existing cells. And this was the thing which was added to the postulates of this theory later. So I hope now you got an idea about who are the people who have contributed to the cell theory, what was their contribution, and what role they played. So few names you should know about, like Robert Hooke, then Anton von Leeuwenhoek, this Matthias Schleiden, Robert Brown, then Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow. But not only these, there are still many people who have contributed to the cell. We are not going to learn in that much detail that who observed that nucleus for the who observed cytoplasm, who named protoplasm. There are still some more people involved with this. Now after this comes types of cells. The next topic or a parameter from the same chapter we are going to deal is about what are different types of cells. So all the cells in all the organisms are broadly divided into two main categories, and those two main categories are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So let's learn about these two types of cells in detail now. Okay, now it's a time to study what are the types of cells. So when we say types of cells, there are two main types which we must know about, and we will learn that in the form of a difference. Distinguish between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So these are the two main types of cells. Remember that. Prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So we were going to discuss about difference between this prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. So why we call this a prokaryotic cell is because here there are two words, pro and karyon. So pro means primitive and a karyon means nucleus. So the cell whose nucleus is primitive will be called as a prokaryotic cell. Whereas when you talk about eukaryotic cell, U stands for true and a karyon is again nucleus. So in this type of cell, nucleus is always well defined. So cell with well defined nucleus will be eukaryotic cell. Now the second difference here we have is about size of the cell. So prokaryotic cells are always unicellular cells. Prokaryotic cell is present in unicellular organisms. So size is always small. It may be 1 to 10 micrometers. Maximum size is 10 micrometers. But when it comes to eukaryotic cell, the size is more than 10 micrometers. Up to 100 microns or even few cells are in meters, like we studied for neurons, nerve fibers. The another difference here it is membrane bound cell organelles. Now what do you mean by membrane bound cell organelles? So you must have heard some cell organelles or parts of cells like mitochondria, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes. So those are the cell organelles which have got membrane around them. So those cell organelles who have a membrane around them are called as a membrane bound cell organelles. There may be one membrane, there may be two membranes, but such cell organelles are found only in eukaryotic cells and not found in prokaryotic cells. So here we will say membrane bound cell organelles are absent and membrane bound cell organelles are present. Same way, when it is about cell wall, so cell wall may be present in prokaryotic organisms, may not be present in prokaryotic organisms, but when they have a cell wall, it is not made up of a cellulose like in plant cells, in eukaryotic cells, or that lignin, pectin, etc. So it is made up of muramic acid. So this cell wall is made up of muramic acid, or it may be made up of peptidoglycan. It may be made up of peptidoglycan. But when it comes to eukaryotic cell, the cell wall is present in plant cells, it is present in fungi, and when we say it is in plant cell, it may be made up of cellulose, it may be made up of hemicellulose, it may be made up of pectin. When you talk about fungi, then it is made up of a fungal cellulose or fungal chitin. The cell wall is made up of a fungal chitin. So this was the difference number 4. Now comes difference number 5, DNA. I hope you remember the full form of the word DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. So this is the genetic material present in all living cells. So obviously in prokaryotic cells too. But there is something associated with this DNA in eukaryotic cell, and that is called as a histone protein. So whenever we say prokaryotic cell, the DNA lacks histone proteins. Remember this, DNA lacks histone proteins. And when it comes to eukaryotic cell, DNA is with histone proteins. So another important difference you need to remember. Now why this histone protein is present here and absent here? There is a logic behind it. And that logic is, cell is already microscopic, and DNA, if we stretch it and measure the length, that would go up to 2 meters. Now imagine 2-meter long DNA in eukaryotic cell I am talking about. How it will be accommodated in a microscopic cell? So obviously it has to be coiled around something. So that around which this DNA is coiled by is nothing but this histone protein. So histone proteins give support to the DNA so that DNA can be coiled around it, and then that 2-meter long DNA can be accommodated in a microscopic cell. So this was about the difference. Number 5, DNA. And now the last question, which organisms possesses prokaryotic cells and which organisms possess this eukaryotic cells? So answer is simple. If you remember 5 kingdoms, you have already heard in your lower class, 5 kingdom classification. So out of those 5 kingdoms, kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia, only one kingdom shows features of this characteristic prokaryotic cells, and that kingdom is kingdom Monera. Now what belongs to this kingdom Monera? So bacteria. So kingdom Monera includes bacteria, different kinds of bacteria. Even those blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, are also the example of prokaryotic organisms. And when it comes to examples of eukaryotic cell, then it will include remaining or rest 4 kingdoms. That is kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, kingdom Animalia. So any example you can add to your difference: fungi, plants, animals. Now again here you can also add example like amoeba, paramecium. So amoeba, paramecium, etc. are also eukaryotes, but these have only one cell. So these are unicellular eukaryotes. Fungi, plants and animals are multicellular eukaryotes. So they have same cell but number is different. In addition to this, there are still some more differences, but we did not learn those differences as they are out of your boards. So I'm sure now you have understood what are the 2 main types of the cells, what were the basics or people who are associated with the discovery of the cell. And now we will be dealing in detail about this prokaryotic cell first, and then will be there eukaryotic cells in detail. So you have got diagrams of both prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. You are supposed to draw those diagrams in your notebook by today only. When you will see this video, try to sketch or draw those diagrams with labels, and see there are certain in-text questions too. You are supposed to solve them also. And along with this video lecture, I will be sharing your first assignment based on what is taught today, and again that is your job or a duty to write down the answers of the same within the given deadline. So in the next part we are going to learn about first type of this cell in detail, that is about prokaryotic cell. Well, before we learn that prokaryotic cell in detail, there is one more expected and a common question which is asked from this chapter. I'll just tell you this quickly. Distinguish between plant cell and animal cell. So very simple, already you know the answer. This is just a kind of a revision, you can think so. So obviously the first difference between plant cell and animal cell will be cell wall. So we all are aware that cell wall is present in plant cell and absent in animal cell. And it is made up of that cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, pectin, etc. So this is the first difference. Now second difference is that when you say position of a nucleus in a plant cell and a position of a nucleus in animal cell, you will see that in plant cell nucleus is not in the center, it is shifted towards periphery or border, and here it is situated in the center. Now why so? The reason is in plant cell they have a large sized vacuoles, so they push that nucleus towards the periphery. So when you say here vacuoles are large in number, large in size, not in number, large in size and less in number, whereas in animal cells they are small in size but more in number, and in plant cells they are large in size, less in number and permanent. In animal cells they are small in size, more in number and are temporary. Now other than vacuoles, you also know about another characteristic feature, plastids. Now these plastids, like chloroplasts, is one of the types of the plastids, exclusively found in the plant cells and not found in animal cells. So plastids are present in plant cells and they are absent in animal cells. Similarly, here we have got something which you call it as centrosomes, or centrioles also we can call sometimes. Centrosomes is one cell organelle that will be absent in plant cells but present in animal cells. Another cell organelle, you know this, lysosomes, commonly known as suicide bags. So they are absent in plants, rarely it may be present but mostly or oftenly it is absent and present in animal cells. Food stored in plants. Yes, can you guess? Food stored in plants is in the form of starch, and the food stored in animals is in the form of glycogen. So these are the two main differences which are expected to be asked in the examination: prokaryotic cell versus eukaryotic cell, plant cell versus animal cell. So you need to learn these differences properly. That much is enough for today, I suppose. So keep studying. Take care of yourself and your family members. Don't leave your home. Stay home. Stay safe. Have a good day.